Well, homeopathy clearly is part of integrated medicine, complementary medicine, and perhaps in the UK we suffer a particularly hostile environment. It's very nice to mix with colleagues from India, for instance, who just don't understand what's going on, really. But even continental Europe, in France and Germany, it is so accepted, that all the politicians, if they don't use it themselves, their wives or mothers or kids do. So, the atmosphere is different. So it is refreshing to mix with people. And homeopathy is part of that community, and one thing that we've introduced that is going to be, I think, much more widely used within that community is something called model validity, which simply put means how do you judge whether this is good treatment or bad treatment? It's good homeopathy, but it could be good acupuncture, it could be good shiatsu, it could be good traditional Chinese medicine. How do you judge? Because you may have a negative result. That may be because it really doesn't work, or because there's something wrong with your trial design, or because it just wasn't the right thing to do, because the people who prescribed it didn't really understand what they were doing. And that last one has never really been addressed, even in conventional medicine, what we call model validity. Is it a good intervention? Is it good homeopathy? Is it good acupuncture? Is it good traditional Chinese medicine? And how do you make that judgment? One of the things that is not included in any of the other methods of validity assessment, which is very important, is the so-called floor and ceiling effect. Very simple idea that basically, if you're, the people you're trying have very mild or very severe disease, and there is not much room for improvement, either improvement or deterioration, that they're at the, if they're relatively good, they're on the floor. If they're very bad, they're on the ceiling, so that they just cannot, change. There is no scope for change. This is not assessed in any other validity assessment. So we've introduced that, and it certainly does filter out some high-profile homeopathic research, which we knew at the time clearly suffered from a floor effect. The people in it were very mildly affected. There was very little scope for them to improve, so it's not surprising they didn't. Well, plausibility of bias is, I have to confess, a concept that I invented myself. But to explain the fact that, actually, I think to any unbiased observer, you would have to say there is something going on with these high dilutions. And actually the most convincing evidence, the clinical trial evidence is a bit patchy, and it's arguable. Certainly it's arguable, although it's really not viable to say there is nothing, it is clearly not negative. There is, to say no further research can be justified is ridiculous. However, the various in vitro test tube models, there are a number of those now which really consistently show effects, and in any if it was not for this plausibility bias, if it was not for the fact that people refuse to believe it, then I think it would be a hot topic, actually, because it didn't ought to happen, and yet it does. It is actually a very unedifying mass psychological phenomenon. It is a witch hunt. Hopefully they're not going to burn us at the stake, but the word witch has been used actually by a rather ambitious young British Medical Association politician who decided that all homeopaths were witches. No, they weren't. They're worse than witches. So the word actually has been used, and that is what it is. It is a large and powerful group who, for some reason, for some irrational reason, some reason that relates to mass psychology, feel threatened by a small group who they don't understand, and feel justified in cheating, in using tactics that they would most certainly object to if they were used against themselves.